So we've had a bit of a look at this, but I want to just go over it again at using this equation that we've sort of seen come out a little bit in working with our table of values and the snow trip. So we've seen a lot that we're getting our y value from generally a multiplier times our x value plus something. So the general rule for a linear equation is actually this. So it's y equals mx plus c, or it might be y equals mx plus b. It sort of changes a bit depending on who you're talking to. But if we're looking at it and we've got our equation like this, so we might have something like y equals 2x plus 3. So that would be our equation of our straight line. What does it actually mean? So we worked it out with our table of values where we would have our -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. So we would say that they were our x values, and then we'd solve for our y by following this equation. So if we did that, we'd be going y equals 2 multiplied by -3 plus 3. So again, I've just taken that x value here and I've plugged it into my equation of my straight line. So 2 times -3 is -6 plus 3. So -6 plus 3 is going to be -3. Okay? So -3 plus 6 is -3. All right? Then if we go and we go to our -2 value, so again, 2 multiplied by -2 plus 3. So 2 times -2 is -4. So 2 times 2 is 4. And we take our negative, because a negative times a positive is a negative, plus 3 will give us -1. Okay? And we keep making those changes and we can plot it. But what do the bits in this equation mean? Can we actually pull out any of this information and use it? So, what it actually tells us, we can pull a couple bits of information from here without actually performing any transformations or doing any maths on it. So we looked at this before, we had a little chat about it. This number at the end, okay? This number at the end will actually give us our y-intercept. So that's our y-intercept. So our y-intercept is where our straight line will actually cross over the y-axis. So that's our y-intercept. Okay? That's that number on the end when we're in this standard form like this. We know this because it's where x will equal 0. So it's where x is equal to 0. So when x is equal to 0, it'll be 2 multiplied by 0, which is 0, plus 3. So 0 plus 3 is plus 3, so y is equal to plus 3. Okay, that's how it works, and that's why that number on the end is our y-intercept. Now what about this 2? What does that actually mean? So this 2 here, the number that multiplies our x, is our gradient. So that's our gradient. So that's our steepness. That's how steep our line is. Okay, so that's our gradient or our steepness, or it might also be called rate of change. Yeah, it talks about that line. So, again, go over it again, one more time. You can never hear something too many times. Promise me, you know, I promise. That's the more you hear it, the more you work with it, the more it'll sink in and start to make sense. And again, we'll go over how this comes about and why in the next couple of videos. Okay, so why, our dependent value, so that's our dependent. So that's one of our variables that will change, is equal to m multiplied by x. So x again is our independent variable, dependent variable. This m is our gradient, the slope, rate of change, all of those kind of words which describes the line. And we'll have this plus c. So that's our y-intercept. Might be also the initial value if we're talking about a situation where we're just working in the first quadrant and we don't have any negative x values. Okay, so keep going over this, become familiar with this. This gives you quite a lot of information when it's in this form. The next video will be changing an equation to be in this format, which is more familiar to you if it's different.